appreciate another.
Okay, good evening, Earth. This is Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion, Taos, New Mexico, working on oil painting nurture. Alright, tonight I'm going to continue the gold patterning towards the top, or at the top of the painting. I've got a color mixed down a little bit deeper than the last layer of yellow gold. This one's more ochre with a tinge of yellow in it. So we're going to take that out, about a palette knife and a half on each side, and then move into a deeper tone. We'll see how far we can get on this.
It cannot be anything else. It is the meals upon one. It is the transubstantiation of objects, the transubstantiality of the ultimate. And I'm not saying that people have known about this for a long time. DMT is in many plants, as I've said, but spread very thinly. And we don't have a historical record of anyone ever concentrating. I've done the DMT plant preparations of the Amazon, the snuff, and the ayahuasca. And on ayahuasca, if it is heavily laced with the DMT-containing plant, after hours of breath work and drumming alone in the jungle, you can begin to open it up to the place that DMT will carry you to in 45 seconds in an Upper East Side apartment, whether you like it or not. Some of you may have seen, years and years ago, this Bean movie about a guy who has a big ranch in Mexico, and one of the campesinos comes rushing back from having encountered a brontosaur in the forest, and he can only point inarticulately at the woods and say, something. And that's what I am. I'm a monkey. And I come back to the truth. And I'm telling you, there's something over the next hill that is off the scale. Off the scale. And I have made it my business to, delve. I'm a delver. I'm a noetic archaeologist. There's obscure heresies and strange rites and all this stuff. Been there, done that. It's all pale soup compared to this. And so I taught this to you. He said you can't go further into the bardo and return. And so I think that we stand at the brink of an enormous frontier. Call it incorporeality, call it non-material existence, or, bite the bullet. Call it death. But this is the frontier that we stand on the edge of. This is what history has been about. History has been some kind of suicide plot for 15,000 years. Not a moment passed that the plot would not advance closer and closer and closer and closer to completion. And now in the 20th century, we see that this thing, this transcendental object at the end of time, this attractor that shows up out of the animal kingdom and sculpted the neocortex, opposed the thumb, stood us on our hind legs, gave us binocular vision. This thing is calling us toward itself across eons of cosmic time. We are asked to mirror it, and as we mirror it, we become more of a substance. And as we become more of a substance, we leave behind the animal organizations that we were cast in the beginning. And what this is about, who knows? Is this a drama of cosmic redemption? Is it the transcendental other at the end of time? Is it a Gnostic demon? Is it Izawa? What is it? We do not know. But I really believe we are in the era when we will come to know. And what the psychedelics are periscopes in the temporal dimension. If you want to see a little bit into the future, elevate your psychedelic periscope outside of the three-dimensional continuum and peer around for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. We have been pulled toward this omega point. The Earth is like an egg. It has come to its moment of fructification. The dawn that has been anticipated since we were herding our cattle across the plains of Africa is now upon us. The east is streaked with the blush of rosy dawn. It is coming upon us, and I think that it will redeem history. That history is not a nightmare. It is a passage. It is an initiation. Think of the fetus in the womb as a moment of transition. Surely it must despair. The walls are closing in. It's being crushed and strangled. Gone are the endless amniotic oceans of a few months before. The weightlessness, the effortless delivery of food through the umbilical cord. Suddenly, it's just boundaries and agony and crushing pressure. That's where we are. And we are going to have to shed history like a snake sheds its skin if we want to slip off into hyperspace, where I think all of magical humanity is awakening us and cheering us on, lending their weight. They're all out there, Proclus, Plotinus, Plato, Hypatia, Henry Cornelius Agrippa, John Dee, Robert Flood, and Elias Lepi. They're all out there pulling for us. And every shaman and shamanist, every magician, practitioner, as far back in time as you go, was part of the plan, the conjuration, the great work, the distillation of the quintessence. History is a magical invocation. And at the end of that invocation, if it is correctly done, all boundaries will dissolve into the stone, the lapis, a transdimensional vehicle that can move through space and time, that is the collectivity of all human souls, free and forever in what we call the divine imagination. And you don't have to wait for the general dispensation. You can join us anytime by hyperspatializing your metaphors and your point of view through psychedelic symbiosis with the plants that are pouring this hyperdimensional Gaian vision into the mind of anyone who will detoxify themselves from history and linear thinking and but open themselves to the presence of the transformative mystery that is going to leave this planet unrecognizable to us within our lifetime. So that's the big spiel. And I think it raises a lot of questions, and yours is first. And please, wait, is there a microphone, or is that more thoughtfully anticipated? I'll repeat it.
Okay, are there any northern hemisphere western herbs that inhabit that we will have access to?
The answer is yes. Yes. The question is, are there herbs in the temperate zone that contain DMT? And yes, there are certain grasses, Phalaris arundinacea, Phalaris tuberosa. These can be ordered from plant dealers or gotten ironically enough, from agricultural experiment stations, because these are pasturage grasses. A lot of people are doing wonderful work right now, learning how to make DMT preparations out of native plants. The mature Phalaris grass
I think I'll switch over to the left side.
diffuse the DMT. So what people are doing is they're getting the seeds and then sprouting them in a sprouter. And then they're taking the sprouted seeds and air drying them. Well, you can imagine how powdery sprouts become if you air dry. Well, then you can powder up a handful of these sprouts and roll the twist back into a bomb and come very, very close to the flash point. The other thing, I mean, if I'm talking to recipe-oriented musicians, the other thing you need to understand if you want to work in this area is that the DMT can ordinarily not be taken orally because there is an enzyme system in your intestine called the monoamine oxidase system, and it will destroy the DMT. But the good news is there are certain compounds called monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Didn't you know? If you take a monoamine oxidase inhibitor and then you take DMT, the DMT will survive the gut and pass through the bloodstream and pass the blood-brain barrier. So here is a very important piece of practical information I'm about to give you. If you want to inhibit your monoamine oxidase in order to make DMT trips longer or mushroom trips longer and more intense, or to activate DMT if you only have a little bit of it, then what you should get are the seeds of Pergamum harmala, P-E-R-G-A-M-U-M, Pergamum harmala, H-A-R-M-A-L-A. You can either order it under that name from the wiki, or go to an Arabian market and buy what is called Hurmal, H-U-R-M-A-L. This is simply Pergamum harmala seed. They use it as an incense to fumigate rooms. But 2 grams, don't take more. 2 grams of this macerated in a mortar and pestle with spring water taken from a spring at the new moon near a crossroads. Now, inhibit your MAO. It will inhibit your MAO. Consequently, then when you smoke the bomber and Phalaris stuff, it will grab on. Or you can even smoke mushrooms there, and it will grab on. So knowing how to inhibit MAO is one of the key techniques in this kind of herbal shamanic magic. Other plants that contain DMT, and here's one you all should be aware of because it's probably right around here, is Desmanthus illinoisensis, Illinois bundleweed. It's a rank weed. I've not seen it except in the dry form, but people have grown hundreds of pounds of this stuff in a few months. And the root bark has the highest concentration of DMT ever measured in any plant. It's higher than the ayahuasca admixtures used in the Amazon. Pardon?
In the root?
In the root bark, which you dry the root and then scrape the bark off, and you'll get this reddish root bark. The red is actually the DMT. Barola trees in the Amazon shed DMT in their sap, and it's always a blood red sap. And to show you how strong it is, the Indians in the Amazon, some of the tribes, they roll their arrow points directly into that sap, and it's a paralytic poison in the bloodstream of monkeys and small animals. So there is a great deal of work is being done right now, and you should, if you're of an experimental and verbal and alchemical and magical bent, people are creating what they call ayahuasca analogs. This is where you use local plants to create a brew which is chemically equivalent to an Amazonian hallucinogen. And of course, you have the satisfaction that it's yours. It's your magical recipe. No one on earth is doing quite what you've got. And it is a lot of interesting work is being done. And you'll hear more about this. In fact, Jonathan Lott just wrote a book called Ayahuasca Analog, in which the state of the art is spelled out. And it would be worth your while to check that out if you're an experimentalist. Yeah. The question is there a single reagent test for the presence of DMT? The answer is sort of. You can do a paper chromatographic test, and all you need is a little UV light and some chromatography paper and some solvent dishes. I mean, it's at the level of 7th grade science project. Yes, I don't know how much I should say on this subject. I'm probably about to say too much. But at one gathering I go to, one of the people who's a very regular part of that particular posse is a wheat breeder. So when he heard about the Polaris, he's a geneticist and a wheat breeder, and he has been working very quietly on his own to produce super strains of Polaris. And I think we will soon see super strains, because the underground community is incredibly creative in this area. The compound I talked about yesterday, Salvia divinorum, that's all underground work. Brett Blosser, the anthropologist who discovered it, is a complete freak. The chemist who extracted it, who would prefer I don't put out his name, is a complete freak. And the people who then did the confirmation studies, my brother and his band of performing pharmacology, so we do not take ourselves seriously enough. I mean, we have our scientists, we have our philosophers, we have our thinkers, our legal experts. We are a complete community. And it's no longer, in my mind, even necessary to publish in serious journals and to keep a pat on the head from, the American pharmacology community. They don't understand what they think they're pouring.
About yesterday, we had jungle in the Bayfield, California, and I don't have the first part of that. Could you give us the name of this?
Yes, I'll repeat this. And strengthen once again my case to the guy who owns the company that he should pay me for doing this. If you want a catalog of extremely rare and useful psychoactive and magical plants, probably the most complete in the world, the company is called Of the Jungle. P.O. Box 1801, Sebastopol, Sebastopol, California, 95472. Write and ask for a catalog, and tell them George Bush sent you. Don't tell them that, they won't send you the catalog. 1801 is the box number. Yeah. I haven't. I have so much reading to do that I tend to restrict my reading to nonfiction. Well, Lenny, I didn't mean to discaptionate it as a metaphor maker. No, I think the teachings of Don Juan is a tremendous book. I'm very suspicious of some of his later stuff. It's interesting what you said, because you know the famous crow transformation in the teachings of Don Juan has been traced, and I'm sure many of you know this book, has been traced to George MacDonald's book, Through the Gates of the Silver Key. And George MacDonald was a friend of Evan Smith. So I think what we're getting here is a mining of late 19th century English folklore by Castaneda. Nevertheless, the presence of these small entities has been a part of folklore for a long, long time. Elemental types. What puzzles me, I guess, is I spent a lot of time in this magical literature and art historical area, and the descriptions don't quite match. I can't quite convince myself that the sprites, the afrits, the mixies, the jinns, these creatures of the woodland fae are the same thing. Or I don't know whether I am contaminated by early love of science fiction. Well, again, close, but no banana. There's all these popular aliens that are running around, you know, with these three boys and all these things, are much more mundane than what I encountered. And what I encountered was terrifyingly not human, terrifyingly alien. And I do not quite get. And I go back things into it, and they're always saying, I don't know, they're very sort of cut and dried about it. I mean, I encounter an extraterrestrial alien or a creature from another dimension. The main thing that happens for me is the implications is blowing my mind. They don't really go into the implications. Yeah. Green.
All right. All right, so I think that takes it as far as we're going with it today. Oops, all right, I'll loosen that up.
Well, it's sufficient amount of DMT is smoked west of the Pacific Coast Highway that it wouldn't.
So the cloud kind of breaks up the shape there on that side, so it didn't take us very long to do this today. The next step will be a deeper gold and then a gray gold at the edges.
Maybe people who know more about magical literature than I do can correct me. But what the elves are really interested in is stuff which I call visible language. That's the whole point of the encounter, is to exhibit it and to get you to do it. Well, now, first of all, think for a minute about ordinary language.
All right, that's it for the moment. So thanks for watching this Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion, Taos, New Mexico. Working on oil painting Nurture. Have a good night.